Okay friends, to start this job we need to be inside at the door panel. I'm going to come right up here and you're going to find a Phillips head screw to remove this little knob. Remove it. There it is. Go ahead and grab that knob, pull it off at the same time, set it aside. Now the next thing we need to do is remove this plastic piece of trim. I like to use one of these plastic trim tools. Try to pry it away, see if I can get it in there. Just pop it right off. It's got a little push clip there, and it's got a little hooky-doo here. Go ahead and set that aside. The next thing we need to do is remove our two mounting screws. There's going to be one located right behind this little trap door right here, and then there's going to be located right inside the door handle right there. Remove them both with a Phillips head screwdriver. To get this trap door open, you can either use a flathead screwdriver or of course a pick, whatever you need to do. There's the Phillips head. Let's do the same thing to the one in the door handle. The next thing we need to do is get our window crank off of here. It's going to be very hard to see what I'm going to do, so once I get it off, you'll be able to see more clearly. I'm going to use a nice plastic trim tool like this, come right in between, and then right behind there, there's going to be a metal clip. The metal clip is something that we need to remove. You can either use a pocket screwdriver or even a pick. I'm going to go with a pick and give it a try. There's the clip. Now I'm just going to draw this off of here. Grab this. Now this metal clip basically just kind of came in and went through those slots, just like this. So all you have to do really is just pop it on out of there, and then you can slide this off. Now we're going to continue on with our plastic trim tool, and we're going to come along the edge of the door panel, in between the panel and the door itself. Try to find a place you can get in. If you were to feel along the bottom here, you're going to find that there's a little ridge. You can feel it with your fingers. Put in the trim tool and give it a nice little tug. There we are. Okay. Lift this up and then take it off. Okay, so we're getting to the point that we need to take off the vapor barrier, but what you're going to notice is that you're going to have this in the way and this is going to be in the way. So what we need to do is use a nice small pocket screwdriver, come right down along the back side of this white cable, and you should be able to pop this right out of there. Let's see if I can do it. Once you've done that, go ahead and draw it towards the rear of the vehicle and take it right off. You're going to see there's a couple little hooky-doos. We're going to go ahead and pop these cables out of here. Let's go ahead and draw it off and then slide the cable out of the area it's in. Just try to remember that the green goes along the bottom for the handle and the white comes along the top for the lock. Do the same to this one. This one's going to be a little bit harder to get out of there. Just kind of twist it. It's got a little hook. Let's set this aside. Next, we're going to remove these two 10mm headed bolts. There's one. And two. Set this aside as well. Now let's move along to where the wiring connects into the speaker. Disconnect that as well. Push on the little tab. Lift it up and out. I always check my connections to make sure there's no issues. This looks great. Set it aside. We're going to start peeling away the vapor barrier. You want to be very careful because if you look behind it, you're going to see this black goo. That's called butyl tape, and it's very sticky, and of course it's going to mess up your clothing or anything else that you happen to get it on. We also want to make sure that we don't tear the vapor barrier because obviously it's needed. Cables away. Let's go ahead and remove this plate right here using a Phillips head screwdriver. There's one, two, and three. So now looking down here, what you're going to notice is you have a mounting bolt that holds your window regulator to your window. If you were to come right across, you're going to notice that it doesn't line up. So what we need to do is take our window crank without the clip in there, and then just go ahead and put it on here, bring this up so the bolt lines up with the hole right here. Now that we have the window regulator lined up so that we can get to this bolt, let's go ahead and remove those 10mm headed bolts. Just going to take a nice magnet, come right in here so I don't drop it into the door. There we are. Do the same to the other one here. Something that we want to pay attention to at this point is that the window is not actually mounted to the regulator in any way, so you want to be very careful. But What we need to do is actually put this back on here, crank the window so it's in the fully up position, and then we're going to tape it so it can't go anywhere. All right, so I've got strips of tape going up and down the forward and the rearward side of these windows. That's super important. It's always a lot cheaper to put on tape than it is to replace a window, so use as much as you feel like you need. Once you're sure you have it safely taped up so the window cannot come down, we're going to slowly lower the window regulator and just make sure that it separates. Okay, it's coming down without the window. This is perfect. I'm going to go ahead and put it down like this. Remove the handle. Let's move along. All right, so next we're going to remove these two mounting bolts right here. There's one. There we are. That just makes it so this shaft on the inside can move. Get it out of the door there. Now we're going to move along to this area right here. Just pay attention because these are going to be the last three things that are holding the window regulator to the door panel. I'm going to hold that regulator so it can't fall down. Let's break this free. There it is, friends. Friends, once you've confirmed that your new regulator matches up with your old regulator, we're going to be ready for our install. Let's carefully slide this in here. Pretty much going in the opposite direction that we took it out. I'm going to try to put that crankshaft right through this hole right here. There we are. Get these in there. Okay. So now I'm just going to try to line up one of these bolt holes. Now let's start in those bolts. Okay, we have all three of these started. Now let's start in the ones that are supposed to be over here. Now let's go ahead and get this rod so it's lined up with the holes. There we are. Start in your two bolts. Make sure it's tight. Perfect. So now we're just going to slowly bring this up, and we're going to try to make it so it connects in where it's supposed to go with the window. So just watch your fingers. Don't go into any pinch points. Just try to bring it right up. Just like that. I'm going to check the front as well. They should sit right in. There we are. Okay. Now at this point, you're going to have to be very careful because what we're going to do is we're going to remove the tape. I want to try to hold some pressure on the window at the same time as I crank this and bring it down a little bit. The whole reasoning for that is because I want to be able to put in at least one of those bolts so there's no way that this window can fall down on its own. All right, let's let this down carefully. Okay. So I can see one of my spots right here. I want to try to line that up. I'm going to put one of those bolts in right now, so there's absolutely no way that this can separate. I don't necessarily need to completely tighten it, but I definitely want to make sure that it's connected. Okay, let's bring this down some more so we can get to the other one. There it is. Now that we have both of those bolts started, let's go ahead and snug them up. Okay, let's try the window all the way down, all the way up, all the way back down. That looks great. If you notice that it's binding or it doesn't seem like it functions the proper way, just go back a couple steps and see if it's sitting inside the channel the way that it needs to be. Let's go ahead and get this plate on here. Start in all your screws before you tighten any of them up. Let's get the vapor barrier on here. Try to line it up as best as possible. Now it's going to be time to get our bracket back on here. We'll take our two bolts that look like this, line it up, start them in, go ahead and tighten them up. Now let's go ahead and put our handle back on there. If you turn it over, you're going to be able to see those hooky doos. Don't forget about those because they're going to go right here. But first, of course, we need to put these in. We're going to put this through just like this. Bring it around, and now we're going to latch it in. If it doesn't seem like this lines up, you probably just put the hook in from the wrong side and it'll be at an angle. If that's the case, take it back out, turn it around, clip it in. Let's go ahead and put this back in now. Just kind of bend it, bring it around, and click it in. At this point, put in the two hooky doos, slide it back, and then latch the rear in. There we are. This should want to line up with the hole. Awesome. Give it a nice wiggle, make sure it's secure. Let's go ahead and grab onto these wires. Pull it out and around. Of course, click it in. Now it's going to be time to install our door panel. Something that I want to show you on the back side is you have all these push clips. The push clips need to line up with the holes on the door. As we go to put this up on here, what you want to do is you want to come up high, put it over the top of this because there's a little bit of a lip. Just like this at an angle, slide it down so it sits down as far as it can. Okay, it's all the way down. Give it a couple loving bonks. Push in all those push clips. Give it a nice shake. That feels great. Now it's going to be time to put in our little handle here. If you look, I still have my screw started in there. That's going to make it much easier for me overall. Slide it down. Start my screw. Make sure it's nice and tight. Give it a wiggle. Perfect. Put the screw in up here. Make sure you cover it. Now it's going to be time to put our handle on there. Before we go ahead and put it to the door though, let's put the clip in. Hold your handle like this and slide this straight on down. Should click right in. Perfect. Now we're going to take this piece right here, slide it right on over there. Just take the handle, line it up. You're going to have to give a little push to push it on there. All right, let's give it a little try. Now the next thing we need to do is get this trim piece back on there. Remember about this little hooky do? It needs to fit right in there. And then of course we have our push clip that's going to go right there. Just going to line that up. Okay. Line up the push clip. Little loving bonk there. Make sure it's secure. It's definitely not falling off. That feels good. Let's grab the little handle that goes on here with the screw. Let's get the handle on there. If you look at it, you're going to be able to see that it has a cutout, and it should match up with this, the way that you want it to aim. If I can get this on here. Just like that, so it's aiming back. Now we're going to put in our little screw. Make sure it's nice and tight. Make sure this doesn't wobble. And of course, we'll test the mirror itself. Oh, that's great.